This is the third video in this series, and in this video you can see how to draw your installations in this house. Now you're ready to place the symbols for your electrical installations in the house. First you need to go to the correct layer, because right now you're in the layer with the ground plan itself. So go to the layer button and select the correct layer simply by double clicking here. And then you can place your symbols. I place the symbols that I find in my pick menu, and the first one that I want to place is a switch. And I've got this switch symbol here, and then I can select it and I can place it in the house here. And I'll just show you a couple of options that you have when you place the symbols here. You can use a spacebar to rotate, just as you normally do. You can use the mirror buttons if you want to do that. And then you can finally, the last thing I will show you here is that you can select a scale in which you want your symbol to be. If you find this too big or too small, you can go up here and simply write a scale that you want your symbol to have. And then you can place it here. But when I see a house plan, a floor plan like this one, I would also want to add information about where it sits. That means the elevation in which it sits. And look up here, I've got an elevation window. So if I want the switch to be placed not directly on the floor, but in 1 meters and 10 maybe, I would go up here and simply type in the height that I want it to be. Or I could go in and select it from the pick menu, where I have placed a couple of symbols in the correct elevation. So if I want it to be placed in 1.1 meter, I'll simply select this one and then I'll place it where I want it to be. I can hold down the shift button to put it tighter to the wall here, and then I can simply place it, give it a name, and keep the name invisible, because I don't think that you want to see the name on the drawing here, but later on you'll want it. So that's the main functions that you have when you place your component. That means that you can place it, you can rotate it or mirror it to make it fit, and you can adjust the scale, and finally you can select the elevation in which you want it to be placed. One last thing that you need to consider when you have components like this is type and article number, because you can type and you can write the article number here. You could look it up in the database. However, we don't have that many installation components in the database, and probably not for your country, because most of the components here are Danish. But I have something here called units, and I'll just explain to you what units are. Because in this demo here, in this template, I've got 3 unit drawings, and 3 unit drawings of which the first one is a switch. It's a switch that consists of the switch itself and a frame to be placed around it when you install it on the wall. I also got a unit drawing in which I have a switch and an outlet, single pole outlet, and then I've got another frame to fit around it. And finally, in this demo here, I've got an outlet for a lamp installation in the ceiling. So those 3 are units that I have in this template here. Units are sort of a sub-parts list. You could consider the same thing, and you can make it in this way, or you can create exactly the same thing or equivalent to it in the database. But right here I'll show you the unit drawings and how to use them. In one of the other videos I'll show you how to make it yourself. So back to the drawing here, because if the switch here is a switch as a single pole one that you saw, I can click this unit here, and then I can select it from the list here, because all those unit drawings, they have got a title in the pages. So simply select this one by double clicking, and you can see the type and article number and the function of it is added here. The function is a default function, and you could write anything in this one except, for instance, lamp in the ceiling or lamp at the right window or whatever. So here I'll simply add it. So if I would do it exactly from the beginning, I would go up here, select the symbol, place it here by using the shift button, give it a name by using a question mark, deselect visible, and go to this unit and select the one pole switch, a single pole switch, and place it here. And again, if I want to have a socket outlet with the switch on 10 centimeters above the floor, select it here, space, place it by using the shift button, deselect visible, go to unit, select this one single pole and an outlet, and just place it here. And this is the way that you do it. The reason why I use a lot of time placing them the right place is that I want to be able to have the correct amounts, the correct quantities for my parts list later. So this is what you can do. Select and place them, and yeah, place them on the page where you find it appropriate, and then simply place them here. So that was this one. And the last thing that I'm going to place is two lamp outlets here in the ceiling, and they will be this one and one more just called X5. So components placed with the symbols on my drawing. The next thing that I need to do is that I want to connect the components with cables. And I could just use this normal electrical line, but in my pick menu with lines, I've got a cable. And the cable, the difference between a line and a cable here is that the cable has got a type and article number on it, because then I know that it's a 5-wire cable without my screen. So if I click this one, you can see that at the moment I'm in 2.4 meters. So if I want to connect this one, I don't need to do anything. I simply click, because this function here will find the correct elevation. And if I want to connect those two switches, I could just draw a line between them, but I would probably need to take the wire from 1.10 meters to 0 and to 0 and then up again, because otherwise it probably be a little bit messy, because I don't have cable trays in my wall in all elevations. So I would direct it downwards or upwards to my cable trays or my cable ducts. But I can take it from here and click here, click to 2.4 if I want to have that, and then click up here, and then I have placed my cable. So from here to here, and from here to here, and go down in 0 meters, and here to this one. And in this way I have got almost correct quantities for my cables as well. My cables, if I want to be able to make a list of my cables with the correct lengths in them, I can click on a cable and give it a name. So I'll call this one for -W, just call it number 1. The name is by default invisible, so if I want it to be visible, I can click here and then it will be in the drawing, or I can deselect and make it invisible. And this one, oh, I cannot have it. I cannot select it, but select the shift key, and then you can select it, because the shift key will take you to the right elevation. So call it -W2, and this last one would be -W3. And in this way, all the cables here have got their own names. If you look here, by the way, you can see that quantity, I was just talking about quantity, but quantities are set to 0.0, meaning that the program itself will calculate the correct quantities. So leave it here, and then let the program do the work. So okay, and then it's here. That means components placed and cables placed, and more or less everything is now in place. The last thing, however, that you could do is that you will go in here, and in my installation pick menu, you can go and select, for instance, this symbol here to tell the reader of the project that this is a 5-wire cable, or you could go up here and select the exact number of conductors in the cable. So you could do that, and then the project is more or less ready. Just one last thing that I forgot is that if you update those unit lists, and then you can see up here the names of of the components that use this set of components. And again, this one, update the list, and then you can see that X1, 2, and 3, some of the outlets have this or use this component here. So this is how you place your symbols in on a floor plan and place it in the layer that relates to the electrical installations, and you've ensured that you have component data on it. And the same with your cables, connections between them, also connected in the right elevations, meaning that you can get the correct quantity on your parts list. And you can add some further information as I just showed you. So in some of the next videos you will see a little bit more about the lists and the unit drawings.